Hello and welcome to the Open Book channel, where I talk about anything and everything writerly, very, very honestly. Today, I wanted to talk about my experience taking a certificate course in publishing and how valuable I found it. I'll talk a bit about what the course entailed, and end with whether you might want to consider taking one yourself if you're looking into publishing or to become a publisher yourself. So in October of 2022, in preparation for registering my business, Acidic Ink Publishing, I decided to take the International Association of Professions, Career Colleges Online Book Publishers Certificate course. That was a mouthful. I know. So from now on, I'll be referring to the International Association of Professions Career College as IAP. As with most things, my anxiety had me going that I wasn't ready to start a business, and there was a million things that I didn't know and was going to mess up. And so, as much as I didn't think this course would be the most thorough thing in the world, I hoped that it would at the very least make sure I knew the basics. And it did, I'll give it that. Let's start by talking about the pros of the course. The Book Publisher Certificate course really did have the basics covered, and I mean that in both a good and a bad way. If you don't know anything about the publishing industry under the layer that you're exposed to as a consumer, then you will learn things from this course. The start of the course covers the difference between terms like self-publishing, indie publishing, print on demand, subsidies, and what a vanity press is. The differences between types of business structures, from sole proprietorship to partnership, corporations, S corporations, and LLCs. The difference between equity and debt financing, so on. If you're deep into the writing community and spend your time actively engaging with author business content, none of this will be new to you, just as it wasn't new to me. The course was first and foremost an introduction to publishing that could inform someone that had never stepped a foot in that domain before. It will cover what an ISBN is and what it stands for. Although I would hope that if you're looking into starting a publishing business, you'd know what that was ahead of time. Oh my gosh, I would hope that. The parts of the course that I found genuinely interesting were the sections based on business practices, terms, and formulas. It taught me the equation to figure out my profit margin and how to calculate percentage markup. This isn't necessarily publishing specific though. Yes, it's framed through the lens of appropriately pricing your book and how to budget for your distribution, etc., but it is essentially a Business 101 crash course. These things are common business knowledge just applied to a publisher's framework. The part of the course that I found most useful, and specific to this trade, were the sections where it'd get into general percentages of the publishing industry. For example, I didn't know the discount a publisher is expected to put on their book before going to a distributor. You're expected to sell units at a 55% discount, which the distributor takes 15% of, and bookstores get 40%. That's what makes selling your book profitable to them, so you have to calculate your wholesale price to account for that inflation, and what you would want the end product to come to. And it was nice to know that I know that now. But all the actually interesting information about the practices of wider physical distribution don't apply to me either. So it was good to learn, but not actually practical to me as an indie publisher on such the small scale that I am. And this brings us to the cons of the course. The publisher-specific sections on distribution and terminology for books were few and far between. And like I said earlier, a lot of the terminology was very basic, and you should know it already if you're looking into publishing. You can get this information freely and easily online elsewhere. The course was extremely padded out, filled with the kind of information that used to make you want to hit your head on your desk in school. As much as the Business 101 stuff was relevant technically, it was also mind-numbingly unhelpful because it's just a textbook course. It can't specify or help you at all with your situation, so everything gets generalized to the point of not even really being helpful. One of the sections is about, you might need a location to host your business. You might not though. If you do, did you know your options are to have a home office, or an office space, or even, check this out, have you considered a co-working space? Mind blown, right? No, not mind blown. The course runs you through how to conduct interviews for potential workers, and to obviously not pick the crappiest person that applies. It's like, yeah, gee thanks, I really needed you to tell me that. This is a flaw of certificate courses in general. They can't help individuals the way that a real instructor could. I know that, but I also feel as though I have a right to complain that a course on being a book publisher is wasting my time going over how to properly human. If you can't imagine already, another con to IAP's course is that they are very dry. Very, very dry. There is no supplementary learning experience except reading chapters out of a textbook. And unless you take initiative to play around with the formulas they occasionally give you to actually apply them to your specific situation, there's no individualized benefit at all. And of course, it has a fair amount of totally unnecessary, obligatory optimism bullshit, like, what are the 3 Ps of publishing? Apparently, it's passion, preparation, and perseverance. Woo! My final complaint about the IAP book publisher course is that it's out of date. There were lots of hyperlinks scattered throughout the course, and most of them I didn't care about. But there were a few that I opened and I wanted to add to a tab on my browser to come back to later as a resource. And a lot of the links didn't work, came up as an error, or the site wasn't what it used to be anymore, which was pretty annoying. This was one of the few things of value that the course could provide and I could take with me and then use for my own individual purposes after I'd gotten my certificate, and they didn't work. On that note, I also joined IAP's Independent Book Publishers Association. The IBPA is supposed to be like a guild where you can connect with other publishers, get discounts on other courses and resources, and display the IBPA's logo on your website as a show of legitimacy. This is an add-on subscription you can get to the book publisher's course and join once you've completed it. The main value that I saw in this guild was the logo that I'd be allowed to display, but even in that, the website didn't work. On my own IAP profile, I got a 404 error that wouldn't supply me with a downloadable logo, even though that's all that tab was for. I contacted customer service and got them to send me the logo separately, but it also looked like this. I mean, just look at the low pixel resolution. It's laughable for an organization, honestly. It was not quality at all, and therefore wasn't something that I valued in advertising alongside my brand. So, as you can imagine, I left the guild as soon as I finished my course and left IAP Career College behind me. In conclusion, I paid under $200 to take the course and pay for the IBPA subscription for a couple months. I got it on a quote-unquote sale, although it seems like IAP always has one running anyway to give the illusion that you're getting a special deal. The original price was quoted something closer to $500. For the discount that I got it as, I think it was fine. Information is worth money, and if I knew nothing about publishing, nothing at all, before taking this course, I would have been brought up to date on the basics. As it stands, I didn't really learn much, but I am also chronically searching videos on the business side of being an author, so the reassurance that I got taking this course and knowing that I am in fact knowledgeable was worth the price. I would not pay the full price for an online course though. If you're not getting a personalized experience or a mentor, it's not worth several $100s. Because again, if you want anything individualized, that's on you to do on your own anyway. Let me know in the comments below if you've taken any online certificate courses and how you found them. Do you think it was worth it? Do you regret it? And would you recommend your experience to anybody else? As always, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support me and this channel, I'll have a link to my Ko-fi in the description below. A special thank you to all of the open book supporters. You're the best. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.